Hi, this is George. Today I'm going to continue with my Swatchtober. It's my version of Inktober, but with a twist. And the twist is I present ideas that you can use in your doodles and your swatches to make it the doodles and swatches a bit more interesting and reactive as opposed to just a swatch. So today the supplies I'm going to use are a pencil, an eraser, some water that I'm going to have over here so I can clean my brush as well as get new water for my brush. So if I disappear, that's where I'm heading. I'm also going to be using occasionally my heat gun, but if you have a hair dryer that you want to use, that's fine. Either way, just make sure that is on the lowest setting. That way it speeds up the drying times, but it's also less harsh on your paper. I'm also going to be using my Winsor Newton Cotman watercolor pan set. It's a student grade paint, but it's pretty good, and it comes with 24 colors, but I also have indigo and raw sienna, which is a lot like the yellow ochre, but slightly different. Now you'll see that I have a lot of dried pulls on my palette. I like to use this over here as a supplement to these, because all you do is to reactivate it with a little bit of water, and I'll show you coming up. The other thing I'm going to use is a spritzer. You can get like at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or anything like that. I'm going to protect my paper because I don't want it to get wet, and a few spritz. I also have a paper towel up there. I'm going to clean off this area and get it kind of clean, but you don't have to fuss around too much. So today is the pattern that I call Squiggles, and basically it's curly cues having your pencil randomly make waves, and if you want to include something to get more options like a circle or a square, go for it. And like this one here is going to be paint it in, you might want to consider limiting the amount of lines and a little bit more. That way it's not overly complicated and you get the idea and you can have fun with it on your own. So let's see. You can see a bit of a boo-boo where I, by accident, went a little crazy with my Karen dash. So I'm going to load some clean water on my brush to lift it up, dump it off, more clean water, and all gone. There may be a little bit of a tint, but overall it's gone. I want to go in with a blue, and this is cerulean blue, and I'm going to use a little bit of water. I'm going to dab off a little of the blue so when I go in with my water, it doesn't pick up a lot. It doesn't have to clean a lot. So it's beginning to be a lot like fall here. And I don't know about you, but during the fall, especially the first couple of days, I have like foggy head syndrome. So I'm going in with my cerulean blue, some water to help spread it out. Going in with more. Because basically I'm trying to get the area kind of wet at the same time so that it dries at the same time. And since it's really wet, I'm going to use my blow dryer to speed up the process. And don't worry if your paint goes over. That's okay. Like that. We'll deal with it later. So I'm going to use my heat gun for this area, and I'll be back. So do we want to add some dimension? Yes. Going for my round 4 from Princeton, I'm going to go in with my cerulean blue and pick up a bit of darker blue. It's kind of a Payne's grayish. and go in with my water again to soften out the color, give it a little bit of a shadow look. And let's go in with a bit of purple. In this case, it is Purple Lake. Careful that this is still wet. And this is kind of medium wet on dry, because I just added just enough water on my brush to activate it. And since this is wet, I'm going to go for this area here and a bit of yellow ochre, because I want to tie in this to this. Not a lot of color, but just enough to differentiate the shapes. To refresh your memory, this is what we are going to strive for. Not exactly the same, but kind of the same. Why don't we do this area here? Why don't we do this pattern on this side here, okay? Kind of a neurographic feel, which go with a bit of a hard edge here and a soft edge here. So I'm going to clean this area up so we have fresh paint, and I'll be back. Okay, all clean. So what I normally do is taking my number 6 brush, because it's larger, getting some water on my brush. I like to go in with the primary colors, going in with some clean water, and we already have blue, but I wanted to add a cooler blue, so I'm going to go in with intense blue. Ooh, nice. A bit much, but okay. So remember to clean off your brush and go into water and see very little water. Going back and get more water to lighten it up. And lastly, red. Any red you want. and water to lighten up. So what you can do is get a little bit of red and a little bit of blue and make up purple. You can combine the pools and come up with more variations. And in fact, you can do this here as well. An example, going in with and just fill in around the pencil. And get more paint, change up the color as you go, because everything is okay. Now this is pretty neutral, but you can go in with full strength or change it up. And go in with the yellow. Again, just have fun. And I would recommend working. So this is dry. And I wouldn't, now that this is wet, I wouldn't paint next to it because I would be a little bit worried that it's going to be coming in contact with it. And it's starting to be a bit neutral again. So let's go in and intensify the colors. Okay, let's see. Go with this yellow and go in here. But remember to be careful that you don't put your hand in the still wet paint from previous places. So what I did with that is I applied the base layer and then went in with some red while it was still wet and dropped in some of the red. And it kind of blossomed out. And since you want a bit of contrast, I'm going to add in a bit of brown. See, I just put my hand there. Don't do what I did. And I'm going to go in with a bit of the intense blue. And more water to create a bit of on-purpose bloom. Let's try a little bit of green with a bit of blue. And a little bit of orange from the pan. And cadmium yellow. So I want to pick up a little bit of the thing here and lighten it up. So I want to try something. So bear with me. I'm going to use lemon yellow. Put it in this spot here. Get a lot of the water and use that mixture all throughout here. And I know I'm going over the pencil marks, but that's okay. That way it's kind of unifying the whole process or the whole doodle. And then what I'll do is I will go in with other washes and do a little bit of glazing. And one more. And this is definitely the ugly stage. Give that time to dry and I will be back. I'm going to use my kneaded eraser because it's gentle on your paper and doesn't leave any residue. So I'm going to remove any pencil marks that I can get. I'm not fixated and getting all the pencil up. Now, some people, I'm not one of them, but some people like to use basically the same brush for all of your painting needs. I don't like that because you have to, one, be more careful in your process, and it kind of limits yourself. So I like to use whichever brush I'm more comfortable with to achieve what I want. Let's see, going in with the orange, and the same process of selectively leaving a bit of the squiggle as you go along. You can, well, it's kind of like a mosaic. Without have to worry about all the mortar, because that's too messy for me. In fact, I was never going to see myself doing watercolor because I perceived it as being messy, too messy for me. But it's not. Nowhere near as messy as, say, acrylics or certainly oil. And the dry time is great. And sometimes you like a color that you create and go for it. It can be like a unifying color. So eventually, you may see a pattern developing, and sometimes as you go along, you'll sometimes see a motif that you want to include or expand upon. So, for example, I'm here doing some scallops, which is another pattern that I like to use. And you see how I continued the arc of the scallop, but this is light, and this is going to be a bit darker. And a bit of a dot in here. And let's see, go with the red. So even though it began with a squiggle, I'm incorporating other elements and just playing in around. This goes a little bit of green. Kind of reminds me of the Japanese poster artwork for plays, and a little bit of pencil. Again, just have fun with your color and see what goes well. Not everything will be like you anticipate or want, but you don't really know until you try something. Just try this combination. Good. I like it. It's kind of a brown, especially with the yellow-ish background. And change it up a little bit, because why not? And you can use whatever colors you want. These are good for me right now. And again, I'm not really concerned about the pencil marks. Try that. Good. Kind of unexpected. The thing is, with me, I can play around all day, but you probably have a life and you are not as fixated as I am on the amount of or lack of detail. In other words, this could go on and on. And like I said, you have the opportunity to just explore. And if you find that you like something, you can do it again. Because there's no saying that one and done. So you probably weren't expecting this to turn out this way. But that's okay, because neither was I. Kind of a mustard going on here. Again, it's a matter of playing around with color combinations. But I think we're going to call it a day. So how do you like it so far? I hope you enjoyed the time with me, and I will see you in the next video. Remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others,